Miss Janet Jackson has been popping up on everybody's timelines lately, and the word on the street is that she might be doing a little distraction dance. Because allegedly, there's a deeper connection between Janet and Diddy that some folks do not want us digging into. And now that 50 Cent has exposed Diddy and those around him in his new documentary, Janet has been panicking. Allegedly, Diddy once asked Janet to handle a few things for him, and she supposedly shut it down. But did she really? Because there are other people swearing she didn't say no at all.
Just saying that, like, I've always loved it. Like the show, so you got second chance, like I'm gonna right love. Thank you for this for now.
On one side, you've got people praising Janet for staying far, far away from the Diddy disaster. Like this one person on X who basically said, "Appreciate Janet Jackson. So thankful she's not part of the Diddy Club and capable of thinking for herself. I think I'm going to listen to Janet's music with more than a smile on my face. Peace in my heart knowing my teen music choice wasn't so bad." So for them, Janet is untouched, unproblematic, and nowhere near whatever chaos Diddy has going on. But then on the other side, you've got people saying, Janet definitely knows something about Diddy. I mean, she did have an entire music video with him. Now, when it comes to Janet and Diddy, their names didn't even really start crossing until the early 2000s. The first major moment Diddy ever publicly spoke on Janet was tied to that unforgettable 2004 Super Bowl situation. You know, the one where Diddy actually performed, but nobody remembers because Janet's wardrobe malfunction became the headline of the century. And he said during a sit-down with Andy Cohen in 2015 that up until that point, he was not even in touch with Janet because he didn't get her number after their performance.
Hey, Diddy.
Hello.
Hey there. I totally love when you performed during the Super Bowl halftime show in 2004.
Yes.
What was it like backstage after Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction?
Oh, that's good.
First of all, if you just saw my face right now, I was reliving a moment for me where I feel I got robbed. I performed on the halftime show right before Janet Jackson.
Right.
And nobody remembers.
Yes.
Nobody. So I'm looking at
sucks.
Katy Perry. Everybody's like, "Hey, so when you gonna perform at the?"
Right.
I said I performed twice.
Oh my
At the
gosh.
Super Bowl. You didn't remember seeing me?
No.
And when I told them it was the year Janet Jackson, it was like, yeah, I still don't remember. So.
Are you in touch with Janet?
Oh no.
No.
No. But I know her.
Right.
I just never got a number for us to keep in touch.
Got it.
Well, Diddy did eventually get Janet's number, and Janet herself once admitted that he invited her to his house in the Hamptons multiple times, and she kept saying no. Maybe she already knew what kind of activities went down in that mansion. Who knows? But at some point, she clearly changed her mind, because in the last few years, we've definitely seen her hanging around him. Janet Jackson and Naomi Campbell were right there partying with Diddy at Lavo in London, celebrating his 54th birthday and the release of his new album. And get this was literally days before Cassie dropped that explosive lawsuit. They even both posted pictures from the night on Instagram. But once Cassie's allegations hit the internet like a nuclear bomb, both Naomi and Janet quietly deleted every trace of Diddy from their pages. At that time, an insider even said losing people like Naomi and Janet was a major blow for Diddy, adding, "Losing people like Naomi and Janet, those types, it's going to be very hard on him because he's such a narcissist." So yeah, the receipts are there. Janet wasn't in the inner circle, but she definitely wasn't on the outside looking in either. And other than the party where she was photographed with Naomi, there's this video that Diddy himself shared sweetly kissing Janet's hand backstage at the 2022 Billboard Music Awards. Well, it's hard to hear everything that Diddy told Janet backstage in the video with the flashing cameras and chatter going on in the background. He clearly lets her know that he's a longtime fan and says, "I've always loved you." Something interesting, however, is that at the time, Janet had made a surprise appearance at the award show to present the Icon Award to her friend Mary J. Blige. And other than the video of kissing Janet's hand, Diddy, who hosted and executive produced the show, also posted a series of photos of himself hugging and giving Mary J. a kiss on the cheek backstage to celebrate her getting the award. Baby, we already know how people feel about the interactions between Diddy and Mary J. Blige, so I won't even go into that. However, a lot of people have always said that since Mary J. Blige has also always been so close to Janet, is it possible that Mary J. told her about some of the things that were going on with Diddy? Have they both always known? To a lot of folks, that insider comment was basically confirmation that Diddy and Janet were way closer than anyone thought. And once the walls started closing in on Diddy, she did what everybody else in that circle suddenly did. Hit delete, delete, delete like her life depended on it. People online were saying that Janet wiping all traces of Diddy wasn't some innocent, oh, I don't want to be associated move. Like she already knew what kind of monster he was behind the scenes, and only started scrubbing the receipts once the public started catching up. Of course, with someone like Naomi, who was there with Janet, there was already a lot to go by, because she has actually been exposed as an alleged pimp before with the Epstein case. For those who recall, after being exposed, Naomi denied having any connection to Epstein, saying that she was introduced to Epstein on her 31st birthday by her ex-boyfriend, and that Epstein was always front and center at Victoria's Secret fashion shows. But she said she did not know him like that. Naomi even said that she had no idea Epstein was using her name to attract young girls interested in modeling. And as he did with many others, he overstated their acquaintanceship.
This is a direct character assassination. I've always said that I'm not a saint, that I am a work in progress, but I will not be held hostage by my past. What he's done is indefensible. And when I heard of what he'd done, it sickened me to my stomach, just like everybody else. Because I've had my fair share of predators, and thank God that I had good people around me that protected me from this. I mean, right now I stand with the victims. I can't, they're scarred for life. For life. I've rubbed shoulders with hundreds of thousands of people.
What's really wild is that Naomi once tried to deny being involved in another mess, and one of the people directly affected clapped right back at her. They said, "You saw me at your parties. You saw me in Epstein's homes. You saw me on the plane. You saw me get my hair cut. You saw me on the streets. You saw me." Translation, girl, you were there. You saw everything. Stop acting brand new. Those private jet logs don't lie. Naomi was definitely on flights heading to that island. She only started defending herself when the truth started leaking everywhere. So, now people are asking, is Janet doing the same thing? Was she aware of what went on around Diddy all along and only hit delete when the smoke turned into a full-blown fire? Regardless, the streets were questioning whether Naomi was also a pimp for Diddy, because as we have figured from the lawsuits, there were a lot of women involved over the years, and Diddy must have had help getting all of them. And because she appeared to be all lovey-dovey with Janet at Diddy's party, people were wondering whether Janet Jackson was also doing the same thing. Also, isn't it kind of wild for Janet Jackson to be hanging around Diddy like that when she publicly defended her own brother against allegations that were very similar to what Diddy is being found guilty of? There was literally a whole documentary where Wade Robson and James Safechuck claimed Michael Jackson essayed them for years. So for Janet to stand by MJ through that storm and then cozy up near someone facing the same type of accusations, it's giving very weird energy.
One of the interesting things about Michael and his particular situation is that the started long before we ever met him. Because he was who he was. He was such a massive figure and represented himself as such an angel. And
Right.
I didn't have a childhood, and I love children so much. That's why I love being around children. I want to help other children have a childhood. So long before ever meeting him the first time, so much had been set up already that I was, and I think my mother, my whole family was already surrendered before we met him.
And remember, before and after his death in 2009, Michael Jackson faced multiple accusations, police investigations, and both civil and criminal cases. Janet stood by him the entire time, while LaToya was out here doing the exact opposite, running to every camera saying she knew Michael was guilty and calling his actions wrong.
I must tell you that this is very difficult for me, that Michael is my brother. I love him a great deal, but I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes against small, innocent children. And if I remain silent, then that means that I feel the guilt and the humiliation that these children are feeling, and I think it's very wrong I have seen checks payable to the parents of these children. And I don't know if these children were apparently brought to the parents by Michael or not. But I have seen these checks. And I've seen these checks through my mother. She's shown me these checks that Michael had written to these children, and it's for a great amount. And I'm not speaking pennies. The sums are very, very large amount. And this is my first time talking about it, and I never want to speak about it. I never want to say anything about it. But I think it's sad because I am a victim myself, and I know what it feels like. And these kids are going to be scarred for the rest of their life, and I don't want to see any more innocent small children being affected this way.
I don't know, guys. Other than the few interactions, I haven't found anything else that really links Diddy to Janet. So, only two things could make sense here. Either Janet was one of those friends who was working with Diddy under the radar and knew some of the things he was doing, but just kept it low-key, or, like some sources have been reporting, Diddy tried severally to get her to participate in his activities, but she refused. Which scenario makes more sense to you? Is there anything we are missing about Janet Jackson? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below.